Hello, fellow book nerds, and welcome to another exclusive review. I'm Meenakshi, and I recently had the chance to pick up this really interesting book by Sudip Talukdar called Major Bakshi, The Dragon's Nemesis. So, okay, if you're like me and you judge books by their covers, you're going to be really surprised when you read this, because when I saw this cover, I thought it's going to be a fantasy novel with a dragon, because look at that. That looks beautiful. So I thought it's going to be a fantasy story like King Kong, where there's this big dragon and it's trying to come and destroy the universe, and the Indian army has to fight against it. Boy, was I wrong. So if you're going to go into the book thinking it's going to be fantasy like that, you might be a bit disappointed. But if you're more interested in the Indian army, internal politics, international relations, Indo-China wars, military warfare and stuff like that, definitely pick up this book, because I was really impressed by the way the characters were described in it. Nevertheless, the dragon mentioned on the cover does not make an appearance till almost page 50 out of 300. And at one point I started thinking, am I reading the right book, because there was no dragon. But honestly, it was really interesting to read. At so many points I was wondering if this is really entirely fictional or it's about real incidents, because there's even a photo of Major Bakshi at the beginning of the book, which totally set the tone. And from the very first chapter, you entirely get into the mind of this character and you become the character, honestly. And all the different characters are mentioned so well, and there are even instances where real incidents are mentioned and real characters are referenced here and there, which makes it so realistic. It makes it so believable and possible, which is what made this book such a stunner for me. And I gave it a 4-star rating on Goodreads, because I totally didn't expect the directions it went in. I was constantly thinking, are these characters fictional or real? Because the achievements about them, the instances mentioned, everything is so well fleshed out. And for a long time I was thinking the dragon is going to be an actual beast, but that's just the way they describe the enemy. And I think that was so beautiful. There are a lot of fantasy elements in the book though, such as the premise of the book itself begins like, how did Major Bakshi end up at the black hole with so many military discards, and he has some shamanic powers which are mentioned at many instances. So don't judge the book by its cover, don't think it's going to be a fantasy book, but if you like the Indian army, you're going to love this book. Because even in the first chapter, you don't doubt even for 1 minute if Major Bakshi really loves the nation and really strives to take care of it. So from the first chapter, there's this scene where Major Bakshi just walks into a room and there are like a lot of celebrities that are about to act out a movie with the men in olive. And there's this whole fight scene where Major Bakshi just tells them off because they were disrespecting the army and they were talking rudely to him. And from that moment itself, every moment somebody would disrespect the army or would say something that would offend Major Bakshi, I would get offended. And I think that's the power of beautiful writing, because I felt like the protagonist. If you're reading a horror book, you can just scare people saying, oh my god, there's somebody standing behind you. Or if you're reading a comedy book, you could laugh along with the characters. But building patriotism, bringing that into the minds of people, that is so difficult. And I love reading about the Indian army, but a fictional tale about fictional incidents, creating that kind of profound impact on you, I think that's really hard to bring about, and it's been nailed to perfection in this book. And the writing is beautiful, but it's very slow. Like I mentioned, the author takes his time to set up the universe, set up the characters, bring in the pain points of the book, and that takes some time, but it's great. Because at the end, there's this epic climax. And I thought, since there are so many plot points and so many characters, so many things interweaving together, we might not get the conclusion in this book. Like, it might become a series with Major Bakshi is the lead role in it. But no, everything was sorted off by the end. And honestly, from page 1, it's so action-packed and there's not even one moment where it's boring. So definitely pick this book up if you love international relations, if you like studying about politics, if you have a love and devotion towards the Indian army and you'd love to rekindle those senses. Because honestly, everything is sorted out by the end, but there's still scope for this book to go in so many more directions. So I was really intrigued by it, and I just couldn't stop reading once I reached the halfway mark. So 100% definitely pick it up. It's available on Amazon right now. And definitely let us know in the comments below if you have also picked up this book. Thanks for watching the video and stay tuned for the next review.